Hi friends, welcome to WebCharm. So in this video, I'm going to discuss data operations in Power Automate. So far we saw how to use the variables, how to use the conditional expressions, how to use the meaning the controls, we can say loops and conditional statements. Then we saw how to work with the array, and now we have discussed how to work with objects also. So now it's time to see what kind of data operations we can do in Power Automate, right? So here, always you need to start with the flow, and then we will select one by one operations, meaning the actions from the data operations, and then we will understood how to use this, when to use this, and how it works, right? So first of all, I will go to the Power Automate. I'll go to the my flows. I will create. You can create flow from here also. You can create a flow from here also. So I'm going to select, okay, not an instant cloud flow. Okay, that's true. Instant cloud flow. So I want to trigger the flow manually whenever I want to run. So I will say data operations. Data operations. Okay. So when you will be able to use the data operations, obviously you need data. All right. So in this scenario, what I will do is I will use Power API. Okay. So if you ask me, I will go here. I will get the data. I will read the data from Power BI. So here, one more task will be covered, that how to read the data from Power API in Power Automate. Right. So if I come to the WebChamp, and if I come to the spend analysis database or report, I can say here, if I go to the detailed view, so there is a table, or this is what the data I would like to get in my report, or I can say in my Power BI. Okay, to work with the data, right? So what I will do is I will say export, and I will select summarize, and I would like to get the live connection file. Okay, how this file will help? So if you are familiar, this file will give me the DAX expression that is used to build this visual. I will use that expression in Power Automate, but how to use that? So first of all, here we will go to the connectors. Okay, and in default there is nothing. So in standard, if you go to the Power BI, there is something called run a query against dataset, right? So here it will ask you to select the workspace. Again, it will ask you to select the report name. Obviously, you should select the name of semantic model, not the report. Okay, so in ideal scenario, report name and semantic model name is same, but in some cases you can have the different name for the report also, but that is linked to the another named semantic model. So that is also possible in Power BI. So here I will put, I will use, or I can say I will copy the DAX expression. It is asking for the text, right? So the query text, we can say. So if you go here, you can see the query text. So we will copy that query text from here, and okay, it is trying to read the data. Let me, okay, fine. So how many rows I got? 558 rows. This is fine. This data is good. So now if I open, what I will do is I will go to the queries and connection. This window will be open inside a connection. I will double click. I will go to the definition, and here you will be able to find the text. Okay, so let's do a copy of this and just paste here. No need to do anything. Don't use any parameter. This is fine. Okay. So now if I run this, if I test this, okay, you will be able to see the data. What I can see here will be in my bucket in the Power Automate. Okay, so let's run this. And this is successfully executed. Since this is a cloud to cloud flow, this is too much fast, right? Even in my previous video, I discussed how to work with the objects and arrays. So here, if you try to understand the structure, we get, meaning whenever we send a request to data from Power Automate, so that is nothing but a API request, and API request gives the data in the JSON format, or we can say in the object format, right? So everything here you see, this data starts with the brackets, meaning curly brackets. So if the bracket is of type meaning the curly bracket, then we will say this is object, right? So we are getting data in the form of object. So first, here it is, you can see the status code 200. Whenever the status code is 200, means your response is received successfully. Okay, then headers, these are not useful for us, but this is fine. Internally, this got created to reach specific data. Here is my point of interest. So inside a body, there is something called result. Inside a result, there is something called table. Inside a tables, there is something called rows. And this rows gives me the data, right? So similarly, at the body level, meaning see, these things are nested inside a body. Again, there is an object inside the body. We have a key called results, and then result is array of objects, right? So if you go by clicking on this line, so there must be a, okay, so this is a very big response. So somewhere it will give us this step. Okay, so after the body, there is a key called a first table rows. First table rows. So this will give us what it is. This will give us direct array of object, meaning the table. Array of object, meaning one row is going to represent the, sorry, one row is represented in the form of object, and entire table is covered as a list of object, right? So this, if I access this, I will get the data directly, right? Otherwise, there are multiple ways to get that. So here I will say edit. Okay, and I will show you how to get. So I will use the compose action here. Why compose? In some time I will tell. Okay, if I click on this data from previous step, you will be able to see rows, first table rows, and body. So what do you want to get? So obviously I would like to get the data directly, so you can select first table rows. That's it. So this will give us, let me run the flow and just see the input and output difference. Okay, so for compose only we give the output, give the input. So here first table row is giving us the list of objects. Objects is nothing but a row, and entire, meaning all the rows are combined in the square bracket, that is nothing but array. That's why I said list of objects, right? So this is how 500 rows, 500 on something rows were there. So those many rows are covered there. So it was like 558 rows. Fine. So first row table give us the data in this format directly. Okay. Then again, what I will do is I will use the another compose here. So that will be a compose one. And here I will use the body. Okay. Now let's see the difference between these two outputs. Here, if I show you the input, it is going through the results, tables, rows, and these many things, right? And then rows has the data. So what I will do, I will take a snippet of this because I want to reach there. Okay, I will show you how to do this. Okay, how to build the expression to get the data at the specific level. So in compose, I will remove this. I will go to the insert expression. From dynamic content, I will pick a body. Okay, fine. I selected a body. Now let's look at the table. Inside a body, what we have is we have something called results. Okay, so that is directly key. So I will say results. This is fine because inside a body, direct key is there. That is the result. Key we can access directly by giving the name of the key in square bracket. But if you look for the value of result, it's an array. And inside an array, we have an object again, right? So array element, I would like to access the first element of array. So how to access? By using the zeros. Okay. So you cannot, for the array, you cannot use the name of the key. You should go and you should use the index. Okay. And I'm interested in the first object. So I used, or first item of array. So I use 0. Next expression. Okay. Now we are in this object, this curly bracket before the tables. So now I would like to access the tables. So now this is an object. So I will say tables. Right. Then inside a table, again, we have an array. And then there is something called rows. So I will use again first element I'm accessing, trying to access from the array. So see here, square bracket, inside a square bracket, we have an object in the table. So I used first. Okay, first is nothing but this internal object. And I would like to get the data from that object at rows level. Right. So this is the expression you need to build. This is how you need to write the expression. Try to understand what is array, what is object, how to slice the data, how to get the data. And if you don't understood this, it is difficult to work with the Power Automate actions or data operations. So now let me save this. Now both the things. Okay, I did the same. Here directly you will get the data what you are looking for by using the first table rows. But still you can get it from building your in expression also. So let's run the flow and see the output. Both the both the compose will give me the same output. Okay, so if I click here, you can see the list of objects. If I click here, if I show you again, here we are getting the same result, right? Compose 1 and compose 2. So this is how you need to build the expression. Okay, why compose is used? Now the question comes in a mind, why compose is used, right? So compose is a very we can say versatile action that can be used to store, transform, and reuse the data within your flow. So this action is not going to do anything, not going to do anything. whatever the functions you will use, whatever the kind of operations you will specify, it will do that and stores the data. Okay, right. So we have a variables also in Power Automate that can also store the data. Then why compose? Right. So it's one time use container. One time use container. So what I did here is I just wants to access the data. I just wants to access the data from Power BI, and I mean the way I got the data is not good to use the data to get the proper data. I mean the list of arrays or to get the table data. What I did is I used to compose. I built that long expression, or you can get it from by using the first table rows from the previous data. Okay, compose is a typeless, so you can hold any kind of data there. You can save integer, floats, string type data, boolean type data, even arrays, objects, anything. There is no as such limit. You do not need to define anything that what kind of data you are going to store there. Just evaluate the expression, it will hold that data. And obviously you may want to, why we are doing this, because we have to use the result, whatever the result we produced in the compose, that you wants to use in your flow for the next step, not the immediate one. You can use that after 10 number of steps, right? So what compose does, it stores the static and calculated values for reuse later in the flow. This is fine. Simplifies the complex expression by breaking them into the manageable steps. Yeah, this is what it can do. We can write the expression as we want. Okay, as we want, meaning it should follow the structure of Power Automate or Power FX language. Okay, it helps it helps, meaning compose is used while testing the flow, so that meaning you see, if you have to see the output of any step, how you will see. So you can use the compose will show you the output. That's the only meaning. That's why it is used at the time of debugging, resolving the errors from your flow. Then it can be used for the data transformations and formattings, meaning such as covering array to string or building JSON also, right? So if you ask me the what is the difference between variables, variables are declared order. It's a, this variable is going to hold this type of data, right? But compose is not going to hold any specific type of data. It can hold any type of data, meaning this is a typeless, completely typeless. Variables are defined or must be declared with the type, right? So compose you cannot update. Once the meaning you cannot update the output of compose step, but variable value you can update. Okay, for compose you do not need to initialize the variable. I mean the way we initialize the variable, you don't need to do any kind of initialization. It is just you can use whenever you want. But in case of variable, you need to initialize the variable, then and then only you will be able to perform the other operations related to the variable. And compose is best for the static or calculated value, while variables are best for the dynamic and changing value. If your values are going to change dynamically, in that case you should not use the compose, use the variables, right? So this is what compose does for us. So we used different things here to get the output. Okay, so now we have a output. So here I can say first table rows, first first table rows. Okay, so we can rename the actions as per your choice. and Power BI table. Okay, so I'll have these two things. Now my interest is, okay, now my interest is to select few columns. I don't want these many columns. Here I have a 9 column data. All right. I don't want to use this much. Okay. So what I would like to do is I would like to use this one. Let's say region column, then plant column, and or instead of plant, I can use the company name also. So this will be like supplier name and all, right? So here, if I click on this, if I go to the data, right, I have a something called select operation. Okay, so select operation. So what it does, it allows you to select the specific columns from the data set. Okay, meaning I don't want to use, so you can rename the columns. Okay, this is how the data is looking. This is how the data is looking. So I want to select the specific columns. So output of any of the step I can consider. Okay, output of Power BI table or output of first table rows. Both are same now. So I will pick Power BI table. Here it is asking for the key. Okay, so what I will do is I will take the key as a, okay, plant code, like this. Okay, this is the name you want, meaning if you want to change the name, existing name, you can do this here in the select. Okay, and I would like to get the plant details, the plant details, meaning plant code. So this will be your company code. Okay, or we can say this output. Okay, so same one I will use, but if I use this is going to hold the array of object. I want to get the specific element. Okay, so what I will do is I will go to this, I will build the expression, I will take this, and inside this I will pass, this is the name of column, right? Structure you need to understood now. Okay, so from here, from rows, meaning this square bracket, from this square bracket onwards, we have a data. So I pass that. Okay, so output gives the list of objects. From that, okay, so I would like to access this company code, right? So if I have to access this company code, I use the syntax that will give me the main data company code, I mean the column name. And why I passed in the square bracket, because we are getting it from the object, from each and every object. Okay, and let me try saving this. Right, now test the flow. Okay, the flow runs. Okay, what it says. Okay, select field, execution of action failed, evaluation of query where plant code, output table spent. The template language expression, you can see this cannot be evaluated because the property spend company code cannot be selected. Array element can only be selected using the integer index. Okay, so what it does is array element can be selected using an integer index. Okay. So since this is a array of object, what I can do is let me try with using the item. Okay, item, this question mark, and inside this, okay, that name of column. So this is the way, another way to do this. Let me add this. Let me save and try this. Okay, this time this got executed successfully. Okay, what is the input? You can see this is what the list of array I passed, and if I want to show you the output, where is the output? Okay, let's here it is out. So you can see it has extracted the code what I want, right? So now let's understood what I did here, why I used item. Okay, so we passed the array here. We passed array here. So directly you can use item method to dive into the objects and get the data. Okay, if I give the name instead of item, if I give the name of array, it is not going to work. Why? Because what item will do, item will internally loop. We don't need to loop or we don't need to use the control statement here, that is apply to each. If you want to do that, you can use apply to each and then you will be able to do this. But for every time we need to go and append, we need to create a variable. So instead of that, they have given for all the type of data operations, like what kind of data operations we have. So we have 6-7 types. Out of that, select, filter, query, directly you can use without any loop. Internally it behaves like loop, right? So you can see the output, it is giving me the kind of object for each row, right, as a list of array. So this is how it makes, and it has changed the name, plant code. So select can be used to change the name of columns, right? This is the one purpose. And you may want to use these selected columns. Okay, so here I did for one column. You can do this for n number of columns, meaning n meaning whatever the number of columns are available in your data set. Okay, so I can do the same for 9 columns. This is fine. I just wanted to show you how to use the plant code. If I click on this, you will be able to see the next one. Okay, so what I will do is I will say plant. Instead of plant, I will say company. Okay, and here again I will build the expression. I will say items question mark. Question mark is just used to check whether this key is exist or not. If it is not exist, it should not throw the error. Instead of that, it should give the null value. That's the purpose of question mark. Otherwise, you can use without question mark also, right? So it is going through the item. Now it will give me the 2 values, meaning the object of 2 properties. I can say property is nothing but value inside the object. I mean key inside the object. So key is nothing but a property and value is the value of key. Right. So this is giving me the details, what I want. So I change the name of columns. So select can be used to change rename the fields or create a new fields also. So if you want to do the calculation or you may want to do the calculated field, you will be able to do that here also. You can add new fields. You can rename the fields, right? And the output a new array with the same number of items but a different structure. What it does is, so output you can see we passed array but here it has created, I mean, it returns an object, and like the body, and this this is how you can get the output in the different structure. Okay, it is not going to return the array. We pass array, but we get object. So now we can say this is when the select operation is allows you to reshape array by picking up specific field, renaming them, even creating a new one. Everything is fine. The way we created now, you can do the same. It's especially useful when you want to clean up and reformat the data before passing it to the steps like create HTML table, send email, or apply to each. So you may want to select the number of columns, specific number of columns. You can use the select. This is what it means. So what select action does, extract the specific field from an array of object. It can rename the field or create the new field, even output a new array with the same number of items but different structure, right? The number of item, it is not going to reduce. Fine. Now I would like to use the another thing here. If I go to this, okay, and instead of this, okay, I will use the control statement or something like this, and let me try using the things from previous. So it says output and it gives the output item. Okay, what I'm looking for, okay, what I'm looking for. So here I got the table. I'm able to fold that the way I want using the select. This is fine. Okay, let me delete this. Let me delete this. So what I want is I want to use this field, whatever the 9 columns are available there. I want that fields to be populated here for my selection easily, because see, if I go to the data from previous step, I cannot see the field names, right? The fields which are coming from the Power BI dataset. How I can do that, right? So that is also possible with the help of data operation. Data operation. So whatever the result will be there, so this is our compose result. We can say this is again our compose result. Okay, I'll not keep both the one. I'll just make these fields available to selection in my next step. Okay, so if I just run the flow, so this is compose. So we will see the input. This is how the data is there, right? So what I would like to do is I would like to make these fields available for the selection purpose. So in that case, since this is a JSON data, this is a JSON data. Okay, so here you need to, okay, let me run it once again. So I'll show you how to do this. Okay, and you can select this much. This is sufficient. Okay, so first 2 items of the array we have selected. So there is a step called parse JSON. Okay, there is a step called parse JSON, or there is action called parse JSON. What it will does, it will any kind of, it will pick the any kind of content. Okay, array or object, any type of you can pass. So I will pass the output of this compose. Okay, and it will ask for the schema. You can use, you just click on this use sample payload and all. So here I used this structure. I'm just giving the sample what I have or what input I pass, what type of input I passed, so that it will parse these fields. Okay, the schema, you can see we cannot pass schema. We can generate, it's fine, but instead of that, if we use the expression or if we use sample payload to generate the schema, this will generate the schema automatically. You just pass one or two rows of data. Let's save this and now run the fields. So this parse JSON can be used even after the select. That is also possible. If you see what input I given, I gave the okay. Internally it has added this. Otherwise, I gave the input as a from the square bracket, right? The list of array. So now output, if you see same, it will be like pretty much same, but instead of content, you will see the body. And this is how the things work. Now the data is parsed. Now I will be able to use that column names here. If I go and if I say, see, body, spend data year, body spend data month, spend data company, spend data name, currency code, region, all the columns. Even I can say more. Amount USD, body items, body. Right. This is how parse JSON works. So what parse JSON does for us is it converts a JSON string into a structured data. It allows you to access the fields using the dynamic content. Right. This is what we did sometime before. It enables the use of JSON field in the condition, loops, and expressions. This is what I shown you how it enables. So parse JSON is again very important. But when you should use? Okay, in Power Automate, it is used to transform raw JSON data into a structured content that can be easily referenced through your flow. It's especially useful when working with the data from API. This is what we did. We sent a request to the Power BI. What we used actually, we used one action to run the query against Power BI, but that is the API request for the Power BI. Okay. If we get the data from Power Apps, if we get the HTTP request, meaning if we send the HTTP request to get the data, so we will get the data in the JSON format or any service that returns the JSON. So whenever you get the response in the form of JSON, you may want to enable those fields accessible in the next step. You can use the parse JSON. You can use the parse JSON. So after this, even you can use select and all, right? So earlier I struggled to use the select. So now if I use the select, okay, so output of parse JSON, I will say, and here, let's say rename the columns. Okay, I want to rename the column like MTH only. And here, if I come, I am able to select this. Here I am able to select like this plant code, not plant code. I can say company code, and here if I go, I will be able to select the company code. Then I can do like this amount. Let me click on the show more. So if I go to this, the amount is there, right? So what I did, I selected a few columns. Earlier, I had to write my expression to get the data, but here now by using the parse JSON, I'm able to get the field name. And here you can see what function it has created internally. Item square brackets. When I was using square question mark in between the square bracket and item function closing parenthesis. But yes, so this is the expression. It generates automatically. And you need not to worry how this works. You can simply able to use. But it is very important to understood how the things are working. Okay. So now if I select, this is what the input I given. This is what the output I get. Right? My column name, field names are changed. Again, the problem is whatever the fields are there in the select, I may want to use that field or the new additional columns here in this. So how I can do that? I can select the output, but yes, I can't select the specific month column and all. So in that case, again, you need to pass this because this is the again given us the object JSON objects, right? We saw even though we pass array, it gives the object, right? So again, you can parse this, and then you will be able to use these columns in your future steps, right? So how many things we discussed so far? So we discussed compose, we discussed the select. Now let's discuss the filter array. Okay, so how to use the filter array? So we have an array, right? Array of object is fine. We have this array, or here also we can say this, we have this array. Let me delete this. Now I would like to filter the data only for the specific plan, only for the specific plan. It is asking me to pass the array. Obviously, what we will do is we will pass the body. Okay, if it is not in the format of array, it will throw the error. Okay, so I should select the column here, since I passed year. Okay, year is there, and if I say month, so how the data is, month is equal to 01. So it will pick the data. If the month is equal to this, will build the expression. I will save this. So you will be able to filter the array here, right? By giving the conditions. So these kind of conditional operations you can use. So let me try running this. So I have a doubt on this, whether this will work, because parse JSON is going to give us object. Okay, if it is okay, let me see the output, whether what it does. So it returns okay. So body is fine. We used the body there. So body is a array of object. That's why it works. Input, you can see we have passed the array, right? And output, you will be able to see it has filtered the data only for the month of Jan. You will not be able to see other than Jan month data, right? Everywhere Jan 1st, Jan 1st, Jan 1st. Rest of the data are not there, but if you see the values, yes, values are there, right? So we are able to filter the data. So filter array is used to filter the data. Okay. So we are able to filter the data. What it does, so filter an array of object or values based on the one or more conditions. Okay, fine. Returns a new query containing only the item that matches your criteria. Whatever the criteria you have passed in the filter query, if it is matches, it will return that row. If it is doesn't, if it is not matching, it will not return that row. But it supports both basic and advanced conditional logic also. So here, if I go to the okay, not the Outlook, let me close this. If I go to this, if I say edit, and you will be able to build the expression here, right? So you can specify the more conditions using and or not operator. This is about the filter array. Okay, parse JSON, filter array, and compose, all these. Okay, so we are left with the create CSV table, HTML table, and join. Okay, so if I pick, okay, I would like to join, like when to use the join, whenever you have to convert your array into a string, convert your array into a string. In that case, this join is used. Okay, array to join. So I will say body of this, and with the separator. What is the separator? Meaning, if you wants to change the separator, you will be able to pass here. So I will say pipe. Okay, this is what the separator or delimiter I would like to use. Now if I run this, let's see the output. Okay, here if I click here, so input you can see we passed array, and output you can see we are getting everything inside a single text. You can see this quotation mark, and after one object I will show you how the pipe will work or where the pipe will come. Okay, so this is it to complete the curly bracket. Once the curly bracket closes, our first object will be closed, and immediately it has used the pipe symbol. Here you can see this is the pipe symbol. This is what I selected. Here it is a pipe symbol, right? That is a separator, right? This is how a string works, right? So now again you may want to convert this back to JSON, so you can use the JSON function also, or you can use parse JSON. You cannot use because that that is the different thing. But if you want to convert this back again, use the compose, and inside a compose build the expression like join, sorry, not join, so JSON, and pick the dynamic output of join. Okay, so JSON takes the data in the form of string and it converts the okay template language code invalid template message circular dependency. Okay, because of the circular dependency. It is not working, but join is the method that you can use to convert string back to the JSON format. So we saw filter. After that, we saw how to use the join. So join operation. So here you can see join is used. So here it shows how to use. Okay, so join action takes array. This is fine. We specify the delimiter. It returns a single string. This is what I shown you with an array elements joined by the delimiter. This is what we saw. All the curly brackets are joined using the specified delimiter. So it is used to combine the element of array into the single string separated by the delimiter of your choice. This is especially useful when you want to format the list of emails, logs, and file outputs. Okay, so this is how join works. Now we are left with create CSV table. When to create a CSV table? Okay, what it does. So we have a data in the JSON format, in the object format. Whenever we read the data from the SharePoint, Excel, or JSON, so it converts array of object into a CSV format, and then you will be able to dump this data into the table format in the file. Otherwise, it is difficult, and you even you can meaning whenever you want to save the data in the table format in the CSV file, you need to use this step. This is used when you want to export a data, send it via email, save it to a file for reporting or archival purpose, whatever will be the purpose. But whenever you have to do the export of data or send in email, you will go and use the CSV table operation. When you create CSV table operation, so this is just going to create. So what input it will ask array to create a table from. So object of array you need to pass. It will internally it will understood one object is nothing but a row. So all the values it will pick as comma separated values. Entire array is nothing but a table, so you need not to do anything. So how create table action works? It takes an array of object as an input, convert it into the CSV formatted string, output a table where each row is record and each column is a field. Right. So array of object is converted to the table. That's the purpose of this. So output you will not be able to see in this case if I select the CSV table. And if I pass body JSON, this is fine. Okay, so there is a one more field that is columns, and you should select automatically. Okay, so it will pick all the columns. Otherwise, you can define the column names as you want. So you can customize the columns also. But the flow is running. Okay, it has read the data. Input you can see for the create CSV table. This is what the input array of object is passed. And if you go down, what it does, it converts everything as a comma separated. Okay, it is not showing, it shows this much amount of data. But if you see here, first of all, it is a list of columns, right? Column names. Then on the new line, the value started, comma separated value started, right? Again, we go beyond. This is the row changes, new line, right? So this is how it builds the structure in the form of CSV is nothing but a text file. That's why. But when you copy paste this on the text, it will be like the way we saw CSV file. And you can save. Now this is in the table format. Now you can save this in the CSV. Okay. So here, if I say create file action on the, not, you can create it on the SharePoint, you can create in the business OneDrive. So if I go and if I select the path here, root, file name is test data from Power BI. Okay, dot CSV. This should be your name, and file content will be the output of CSV table action, right? And now if I run this, it will go and it will create the file. But it is not possible without using this create CSV table to save the data in the file. So let's wait until this gets finished. Right, until this gets finished. Fine. And let's go to the root of my OneDrive. Okay. The file, it says the file is saved. Created file. And folder path is this. Test data from Power BI. Okay. So the issue is file is saved on the cloud, not on my local document. That's why you will not be able to see the things here, meaning that file is here. But if I go, okay, so what I will do is I will say view online, OneDrive, view online. Okay, I'm inside the folder. If I go to the my, here you can see this file. This file is created a minute ago, about a minute. test data from Power BI CSV, right? This file is not still not on my system, but yes, it is there. So obviously it creates on the cloud. So this is how file can be saved, right? So we have one more action, that is create HTML table, and what it does is whatever the data you will pass, it will create the table, a structured HTML table that is used, that can be used in the email or web-based report. So this is required, meaning when you convert an array of object into an HTML table. This table is HTML table can be embedded in the emails, or it can be used in the web pages also. So it will create the HTML output of your array or array of object. It will generate the HTML code for you. I will show you how it generates the code. Okay. So if I go, yeah, I don't want to do this. So if I use the action called create HTML table array, I will pass this body showing parameters, columns, and everything is automatic. Okay, I'll keep this automatic, but you can customize. You can use the columns, and then instead of this custom columns, and you can specify the column name, then value, column name, and value the way we did earlier. Okay, so let me save. What is the output? Okay, so instead of custom, I should say automatic, and then I should save. Okay, this has been saved. Then I will say test, and okay, to see the output, obviously we should use this somewhere. So I'll send an email. Okay, so let me say send an email. This is the action I'm going to use here. What I will do is I will just pass the output of this. So this will generate a code for me. I will show you the code. Okay, this is like passing email ID and test. Okay, let me save this. Okay, and now you will be able to see the code here. Okay, output. Internally, this is like HTML code, and this output is going to create the tags for the table headers, table data. Okay, internal, everything will be taken care. You won't be able to see here. You will just see the output of that step, right? And if I send this, so it will not add border and all anything. It will just send the data in the table format instead of JSON format. Okay, so let's wait. The table will be a big one. Okay, just it has sent this. Right, this is how it sends the table. Right, right. So let me click on this, or let me open the email in the new tab. This is how it sends the data. Right, whenever you have to write the data on the table data on the email, you can use create HTML step or action. Right, so this is how all the data operations we can use. So we saw how to use the compose, we saw how to use the create CSV table, we saw how to use the create HTML table, filter, array, parse JSON, join, and select. Everything is discussed. With this, I would like to conclude the video. Thank you so much for watching the video. Have a nice day. Happy learning. Do not forget to subscribe WebChamp and share the content with your friends so that they can learn the technology easily.